Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to this very special post-game live episode. Thank you for joining me. Clemson Tigers on top, 28, South Carolina 14. The Tigers get it done. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Me and Jordan are going to give you our instant reaction to the game, what we thought, what we liked, what we didn't like, and talk about everything. But first and foremost, before we get into today's show, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. On the road to 6,000 subscribers. Your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Also, hit that like button while you're in here. It really helps us out on these live videos, and it's free, and it helps the channel. So thank you for that. And then if you want to support the channel in a different way, we have memberships. We just hopped off a 3.5-hour live stream of the game with our members only stream for all of our monthly supporters of the channel who have become channel members. It was a lot of fun. We chopped it up in there. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider becoming a channel member, getting exclusive content in that way. And then also in this live show, we'll get to as many comments and questions as we possibly can. We're obviously not going to get to all of them. So if you want to ensure that your question or comment is read during this live episode and you want to support the show, hit that super chat and we'll be sure to do that for you. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. Jordan, 28-14 is your final score today. Clemson won the state championship. It has not been the season that we wanted it to be, but it's not time to talk about that right now. It's time to talk about beating the in-state rival. This was a fun game. I enjoyed it. And regardless of how the season goes, it still feels good to beat the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Hell yeah, man. Spurs down. That's not even really a thing, but we're going to make it a thing.
Spurs Clemson down. The upside-down cockroach is ugly.
Yes.
Shane Beamer is a dollar store version of Dabo Swinney. I don't care how mad it makes you. You'll never be ahead in this series. All the things. All the
things, man. Yeah, this was a fun one. Stressful at times, but a fun one, and ultimately one of the better games this team has played this year. I mean,
yeah,
you know, one of the more complete performances, I guess, on both sides. Like I don't think either side had a bad day. I would say. Right. There were certainly some ugly moments, and we'll talk about them. But man, it feels good. It never feels bad to win this football game. Clemson has now won 6 straight in Williams-Brice Stadium, the upside down cockroach, whatever you want to call it, and they've won 3 straight without throwing a touchdown pass. So that tells you if that tells you anything. Man, I mean, it was massive to get this win. I mean, we talked about it pregame. Like this was. We never, you know, as bad as this season has gone, I mean, winning this football game would still means a ton and would still mean a ton for this program in terms of, you know, just continuing to kind of build momentum and also just keeping the in-state rival down. I mean, they're having a bad season. You got to win that. You got to win that game for optics and obviously for the bragging rights. So, man, it feels good, man. I mean, 28-14 was the final score. It really shouldn't have even been that close. So it feels good to win a game that you pretty much controlled from start to finish. Really, I mean, when you look at the time of possession, the yardage for totals for much of this game, the first down advantage, explosive play advantage. You know, it really was one of the more complete performances. I liked how the offense played in the first half. Certainly had had some rough moments in the second half, but you know, defensively you were really, really strong, save for 2 possessions that were just anyway.
I mean,
and you really, I mean, you played a shutout quality game outside of 2 plays. So props to the defense for playing one of their best games of the season. The defensive line was disruptive, creating havoc. The linebackers probably had their best game of the year. I mean, they were all Wade Woodaz, Sammy Brown. They were all over the place. They were finishing tackles. Lenora Sellers really had nothing to run for. And, you know, they really bottled up South Carolina's run game for much of the game. And, you know, and obviously the safeties came in they came up big as bad as they've struggled this year. I mean, Ricardo Jones coming up with 2 picks, 1 for a touchdown that iced the game. Ronan Hannafin forcing a fumble. Avion Terrell forcing another fumble at the beginning earlier in the game. He's not a safety, but the defensive backs. It was nice for them to get a little bit of catharsis after the season they've had. I definitely still think you're going to see some changes defensively on that side of the ball, and in that position room, in that group of positions in general. But I mean, what a way to close out the regular season, and they came up big when you needed them to. Because I mean, the front 7 did their job, and you needed the guys on the back end to hold up, and largely they did. So, just props on it was a great team effort, really. One of the more complete games they played in terms of just both sides of the ball making timely plays for the most part. Yeah. And doing enough to get this win. This is not the best South Carolina team you've ever seen, and we said this pregame. I mean, we felt like defensively you should play better than you did last year. This South Carolina offense is not what they were last year in terms of weapons, in terms of offensive line, and Lenoris Sellers just flat out not playing as well as he did last year. It's still you felt like you should be able to control this game defensively and not have the lapses that you did last year, and you certainly didn't on the ground. But so much props to this football team for closing it out, finishing the season 3 straight wins, and kind of salvaging what a season that didn't have much to salvage. So I want to give them props for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This was a really fun game. I'm going to be completely honest. It was a nice way to end the regular season. Out of all the goals that we have failed to reach this season, it was nice to finally reach one of them. And that was winning the state championship, beating your arch rival. And it always feels good to do it in their stadium. There's just something about doing it on the road that makes it that much more enjoyable when you see their crowd have to suffer through their 6th straight loss at home to the Clemson Tigers. And this was a game where, Clemson played well on both sides of the ball at various points and times of this game. It was not a perfect effort on the offensive side of the ball, nor was it a perfect effort on the defensive side of the ball. Really, that first quarter, I said it on the live stream, it felt like Clemson was in control of the game, particularly when it came to the field position part of the game. Even though you went out of the first quarter and it was 0-0, the offense had its moments. K. Klubnik had 2 big opportunities to throw for touchdown passes in that first quarter, and just terrible throws. Didn't get it done. You shoot yourself in the foot with a 3rd down conversion where you end up having to punt on that drive. When you were driving in, you were in South Carolina territory, get a big 3rd down conversion, and it's a illegal formation penalty. You did it again late in the game, illegal formation penalty that negated another huge down conversion in South Carolina territory. I don't know how many times we heard illegal formation today, but that was this crew's favorite thing to call. They didn't just call it on Clemson, they called it on South Carolina too. It might have been called 5 or 6 times today. At least that's what it felt like. But, really the offense got going in that second quarter, really started to move the ball really well. And the defense still played fairly well. South Carolina couldn't do really anything on the ground in that first and second quarter. And they were getting decent pressure on Lenoris Sellers. However, much like a lot of the Clemson 2025 season is gone, the defense gives up huge drives or huge plays immediately following some offensive success, which is exactly what happened twice in that first half. There was literally 2 drives in that first half where the Clemson defense did not get the job done. And that was the big 53-yard touchdown pass to, I think, who was that? Was that Nick Harbor? Yes, that was Nick Harbor. 53-yard touchdown pass, 1-play drive on that, immediately tied the game back up. And then Clemson goes down, scores. Now they're up 14-7. What does South Carolina do? I think it was like 3 or 4 plays, and they hit a 75-yard touchdown pass or whatever it was, 75-yard touchdown pass where our boy Jaden Lucas I don't know what that was.
I don't know either, man.
Number 4 goes up. He elevates. He grabs the ball, comes down. Jaden Lucas standing right there. An easy tackle. Yes, he caught the ball. Yes, it's a chunk play, but lived to fight another down and literally just watches him go score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you ever get back on the field as a Clemson Tiger again after something like that. It looked like you didn't want to be there. It looked like you, frankly, were pouting because you have not played, because you've been passed by people on the depth chart. Unfortunately, Avion Terrell was out, and that's why that happened. We'll save that for later. But that first half really was the story of literally 2 plays for South Carolina. A 53-yard touchdown pass and a 74-yard touchdown pass. That was the extent of their offense in the first half. They had 127 yards of passing on just those 2 plays. You take those plays away, and then it's a much better statistical day for the Clemson defense, but it's also them putting up a goose egg. The one thing I will say about the Clemson defense, although they gave up quite a few chunk plays, particularly in the second half. The running game got going for South Carolina. They were gashing them. Lenore Sellers got it going a little bit. They got gashed in the passing game a few times with some, bigger chunks of yardage. But they give up a ton of yards, but they were not a ton of yards. They gave up quite a few yards. But they're very misleading yards because when the time came, they bowed up. They allowed South Carolina to get a little bit of a drive, and every time it felt like outside of those 2 drives, they would bow up, they would get off the field, they would force a punt, or they would force a turnover. 4 turnovers on the day for the Clemson Tigers, extremely opportunistic. Shout out to TJ Parker, shout out to Will Help. Those 2 guys had themselves a day.
Oh, yeah.
Combining for 5 sacks today. TJ Parker with 3 sacks on the day. Will Help with 1.5. Stefan Green got a half sack as well with that Will Help sack. So total of 5 sacks today. You pressured Lenore Sellers. You did not allow him to get comfortable in that pocket. And I just want to shout them out because, TJ Parker's had his ups and downs this year. Let's be honest. But nice to see him get a day like that against South Carolina. Nice to see Adam Randall go for over 100 yards rushing today. He was an absolute beast out there. Particularly in that first half and towards the end of that game when it came to sealing it away. Got a touchdown stolen from him. I won't say the ref stole it from him. Maybe one of his teammates stole it from him. But either way, should have been another touchdown on his resume there for the Clemson Tigers. But he had himself a day. It was a lot of fun to watch. Again, not a perfect game, but hey, it rarely is when it comes to these rivalry games. There's always things that happen. The one thing I can say about this defense is when it felt like South Carolina was going to get something going, they either got a huge stop on 3rd down or they came away with a big momentum swinging turnover. And I think that was the story of the day.
Absolutely. The defense, flat out just they got the stops when they needed it. South Carolina was 1 for 11 on 3rd down and 0 for 1 on 4th. I mean, that's
getting it done.
That's winning football, man. I don't care how many yards you give up if that's what you're getting.
Right. Have all the chunk plays you want. When you can't convert 3rd downs, it really don't matter.
Right.
You can go, Lenore Sellers threw for what did he throw for?
381.
381. Congratulations. 381's of a bunch of empty yards outside of 2 big touchdown passes from him. The rest of them, the defense stood up when the time came.
Yep, absolutely. It was just a great day for the front 7. And the linebackers were they were so good today, man.
They were.
Like as much as they struggled last year in this game.
Yes.
Containing Lenore Sellers, keeping eyes on him. Man, Wade Wood has probably had his best game of the year. He was awesome. Sammy Brown was active, batting down passes. So was Wade. Wade made the big pass breakup on the 4th and 3. He jumps up and makes a one-handed tip. That effectively that was South Carolina's best chance probably to get in the end zone. in the second half. They were awesome. So shout out to them for just.
Oh, before I forget,
yeah.
Shout out to Colin Sadler.
Oh
one catch for 2 yards. So shout out big number 50 along
big
the
number
line.
Big number 50, for making the biggest catch of the game. Shout out to him.
One of the big hogs up front apparently got hands. I don't know. I'm just saying. Ball's tipped, falls right into his lap, and yeah, that sounds easy, but when you're not expecting it, it is kind of hard to hold on to that football. And then he gets 2 yards, he falls forward. So shout out to Colin Sadler. That was I don't know. That was a kind of funny play, and it's always fun to see those guys get something crazy like that. It's always fun to like look at a stat line and you're like, okay, he had 6 receptions. He had who? Colin Sadler, 1 catch for 2 yards. What is that?
Yep. Absolutely.
So, cool play. Shout out to him.
Absolutely. Just really happy for those guys. And you mentioned, TJ Moore was and Antonio Williams got the lion's share of catches and targets today. And they were pretty effective. I mean, TJ basically caught everything that was thrown to him. He was great. Cole Turner even made a couple of nice catches in this game. It was, the receivers showed up. It was good to see Christian Bendeker was involved. Got a couple of catches. Josh Sapp had a big play.
Huge
in
play.
The second half. So I thought it was a good, team effort, as not to be a cliche, but I mean, it really was. I mean, you got contributions from a number of different guys on both sides of the ball that allowed you to win this football game. Back on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously I thought they tackled extremely well. Very few broken tackles. They had a couple of rough moments in the second half. When Rasul Faison was running the ball. He's a tough back. He's if he gets if he gets some space and he gets ahead of steam, he's a tough guy to tackle. There's a reason they fought so hard to get him eligibility before the season. But again, it was empty yardage. I mean, they finished with 41 rushing yards. I mean, if I don't have the sack adjusted numbers because he did have 5 sacks, but Faison, but was by far the best rusher of the football today. He had 5 carries for 37 yards, but Jawarn Howell only had 1 carry for 2 yards. Lenore Sellers had 12, and probably, I guess you would say 7 true rush attempts. And they totaled 2 rushing yards when you include sacks. Matthew Fuller had 1 carry for nothing. So, I mean, just great effort from the front 7 and the run defense. That's the defense that we were sold on when Tom Allen took the job. He said, for first things first, this team is going to stop the run.
Right.
And they did that. They did that, and they were extremely effective. Do we want to talk about well, I guess we already kind of discussed the two big plays, but I mean that can't happen. That's probably the one to Harbor I can kind of understand. I mean, he's just flat out
look,
elite track speed, and Brandon Strozer is not the guy I want on him. He's just flat out ran by. I mean,
it's not a good matchup in that situation. He's faster than you. He's better than you, and he just blew by you. And Lenore Sellers put the ball right on him. It was a big explosive play. You would like to see somebody else in coverage there, but it was just you got beat by a better athlete essentially out wide. Now you can talk about should he have been the one out, blah blah blah. You can go through all that, but the other one,
you have a whole lot of options,
right? Yeah, when you got Avion Terrell in the locker room getting looked at and all that kind of stuff, you got to roll somebody out there. And unfortunately, your best cornerback was not on the field for either of these 2 big explosive plays.
That's not a coincidence.
That's not a coincidence.
South Carolina, they got coaches too. They're smart.
Yeah, they know. They see. Oh, number 8's not out there. Okay, we're gonna take a shot.
Yeah,
we're gonna take a shot, and they're gonna pick on whoever. Who just came in for number 8? Oh, who's that? Jaden Lucas. Yep, throw at him.
Number
Whoever
one.
your guy is, just throw it over there.
Yeah.
And they did. And the receiver made a good catch. He elevated, he went and got the football, and he came down. And the worst part of the play is like, I don't know what Jaden Lucas was thinking. Like, I don't know if he thought, the guy was just going to like fall down, that he, caught the ball and came down with it. And he was just going to be satisfied with the already chunk play that it was. Or if Jaden thought somebody else was going to come tackle him, or if he forgot that he was supposed to, like, I truly don't know what was going through his mind on that play. But he just literally looks at him, and the guy turns around and takes off and scores a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm just like few individual plays this season has made me as mad as that play in particular made me, because it just looked like a lack of effort. It looked like you didn't want to be out there.
You could tell how mad Dabo was discussing it at halftime. Like,
what is that?
He was trying to contain himself from saying something he said, like, calling it one of the worst plays he's ever seen probably doesn't even do it justice with how angry. I could see it in his face. Like, that was like, I mean, like, as a football coach, like that, like, how does that even happen?
I don't even understand how a play like that happens.
Yeah.
So those two plays, extremely frustrating. But outside of that, the defense, extremely opportunistic with turnovers and extremely good at getting off the field on third down. And that's not something that this defense has been all season. But it was nice to see them do it against the rival in the last game of the regular season. So,
and they've been awful at times on fourth down. So
There's been a game in particular where they allowed every fourth down conversion to be converted. We won't rehash that here.
We won't rehash that one.
I thought it was a really good performance by the defense and the offense for the most part. Like, a pretty complete football game. You should have won it by more, honestly. It should not have been in doubt in the fourth quarter. But, some things went their way. But also a lot of things went Clemson's way. Like, it could have been a much closer game had Clemson not gotten 4 turnovers, right? So that's kind of bounce of the ball stuff, broken coverages, lack of effort, as we've discussed. But great team win. Clemson needed it. 7-5 feels a whole lot better than 6-6. And as bad as the season has been, it always makes it just a little bit better to end the season with a win against your arch rival on rivalry weekend, which is still, regardless of how expanded the playoff gets, one of my favorite, and will always be one of my favorite days in college football.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest days, too, outside of, maybe opening weekend, rivalry week. The playoffs are really fun to watch now. I won't say they're not. But one thing that I hope never goes away is how big rivalry weekend is. So even though it had no national implications, this was still a really fun day to be a Clemson Tiger.
Oh, yeah. Very, very, very fun day. And it feels good, man. That just I always say, like, South Carolina is really the perfect rival in football, because I mean, listen, I'm about to spill my drink and knock everything off the table, but like, and I say this because they're never ever good enough to be taken really seriously nationally in terms of like national championship. Like, last season they had a really nice year, and that's one of the better years in their school's history. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Spurrier years were pretty good. That's probably as close as they're going to get. But they're never good enough that you have to really worry about them being all that good, but they still care a ton to where, it doesn't feel like kind of whatever when you beat them, because the fan base is still passionate. They still invest a ton in it. Yeah, so I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving in a lot of ways. So, I mean, if we're going to talk about what we've been thankful for, I mean, it is Thanksgiving season. Well, we just got through Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful to have South Carolina as a rival. They truly are. They truly are the best rival anybody could ask for. So thank you guys.
This game's awesome. And, it's just one of those, and I know it's not a very prominent kind of rivalry when you think about it. There's a lot of other rivalry games this weekend that people would list ahead of South Carolina Clemson. But if you grew up in this state like I did, this game is huge and it means everything.
Yeah.
So it's always fun.
I might as well have grown up in the state as close as I was to the border.
Right. Yeah. Essentially, you did as well.
Yeah.
You were well aware of the rivalry.
Yeah.
Growing up as close as you did to it. So, Jordan, before we move on, let's go ahead and get to our super chat real quick. Blood Moon gets in. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, to be honest, I could see Dabo bringing back all the coaches. If it was me, 5 coaches would get the boot, but we will see. Glad we won, though.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of likelihood that all the coaches are back, I think that's pretty much zero. I think you will see coaching staff changes. I think that's honestly, I think that's a non-negotiable between with the administration. There's somebody's head is going to roll. At least, I mean, I have no doubt about that. Now we'll see kind of what those changes entail, who gets let go, what capacity they're let go from, and whether it's a true firing or is there going to be staff restructuring. There's going to be a lot of things that they're going to have to make final decisions about here in the coming weeks, because obviously this is the time you really start to gear up to do that. You don't wait till after the bowl game. So
no.
You may wait to formally make a change, but you're already thinking about what you're going to do.
If you're making changes, things are going on behind the scenes right now to make those changes. So,
I have no doubt in my mind there'll be coaching staff changes.
I think there will be changes on the staff. I'm not going to make any sort of number prediction on how many staff members will be let go, but I do think it will be more than one, and I do fully expect for there to be staff changes made. I also expect for there to be quite a few portal additions for Clemson this offseason. I don't think there's a way around it. There's nothing in the high school ranks right now that you can come replace some of the holes that you're going to clearly have in this roster come 2026. So I think that's going to be another big piece of the offseason, and it's going to take up a lot of the media stories and what we're talking about in the offseason is coaching changes and personnel changes, if you will, or new personnel being brought in via the transfer portal, the thing that Dabo Swinney, quote unquote, hates the most, according to some people out there. So, I definitely think there are going to be some changes. I don't believe that the last couple wins that Clemson has had, I don't think that changes Dabo's perception on what he needs to do in order to make this team better. I really don't. I know that's kind of like what people think. They're like, oh, well, things have gotten better as of late. Clemson's, won a couple games. What are we on, a 4-game winning streak now, Jordan? But I don't think that changes anything when it comes to the long term of what Dabo's going to do. I really don't. At least I hope not. We can't just stay pat with status quo of what we got right now, because it's clearly not working. So changes have to be made, both personnel and coaching, I believe. And I think that will happen to some degree this offseason. How much, we will see.
Yep, I agree. All right. See, anything else I wanted to mention? Els King talking about Adam Randall. Yeah, I mean, he should have had a better game than he did. And statistically, I mean, he should have had a receiving touchdown and another touchdown if at the end of the game, if the hold isn't called. So
he's still my offensive MVP for the game.
I like that. I like that. He was awesome. I think that I was pleased to see the amount of push that they got in the run game. You know, it wasn't like a dominating performance, but they did a really good job of keeping South Carolina's defense honest. Like they couldn't bank on the fact that they were going to stop the run and just, you know, put more guys in coverage because they knew that Clemson wasn't going to be able to block one-on-one, but that was not the case. They got good push. They got some solid runs, some solid gains. It wasn't, you know, not a ton of explosive runs, but enough to move the chains, and especially on some key third downs, they got some really good push up especially between the tackles. So
yeah, and they didn't
good.
get a ton of explosive runs, but if you watch Clemson's running game, particularly in that first half, they were running the ball early. On, you know, first and second down, and they were getting yards that allowed them to get in, you know, a lot of third and short situations where they had a ton of options, you know, even second and short situations where they had a ton of options. Because, yeah, Adam Randall wasn't busy breaking off 20 and 30-yard runs in this game, but he was steady getting 6, 7, 8 yards, particularly in that first half. So it helped the offense get into a rhythm, get into a flow, probably made play calling a whole lot easier for, you know, Garrett Riley, and made the offense a lot easier to manage for Cade Klubnik. So when you got that running game, regardless of, you know, breaking off 20-plus yard runs, when it's that consistent as it was in that first half, particularly, it's a huge difference when it comes to just what an offense can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, happy for him to kind of go out. I mean, he's been so big for this team. I wish, you know, the rest of the team was able to, you know, pick up for him too. I mean, just in his last season, but just happy to see him go out with a win over the in-state team. Obviously, as a Myrtle Beach kid, you know, there's certainly a lot of Gamecocks over there. So I'm sure he grew up around it a lot. But he chose Clemson, and, you know, and even when things weren't going well for him at receiver, I mean, he stuck it out. Could have gone to the portal last offseason, but, you know, was willing to give running back a shot, and I think he was very successful. So very happy for him. I'm gonna miss watching him play. Definitely kind of the epitome of what you want. From a Clemson Tiger. I mean, that those are the type of kids that you look for. Just guys that are willing to do whatever it takes to win, and that love the program.
Yeah, I mean, that's a picture perfect guy of a guy that loves Clemson and wants to play for Clemson. I mean, and what a season as a running back, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, I was hoping that it would work out. But even best case scenario, I think he exceeded what the best case scenario would have been if you were asking us heading in to the season. Best case scenario for Adam Randall this year. To me, he's exceeded it. Both from the production that he's provided, the running back position, but more importantly, I think, and more surprising on my end, especially with my questions heading in for Adam Randall, it wasn't that did he love Clemson or did he, was he going to give it his all? It was never that. It was, my major question heading into the season with Adam Randall was always, can he stay healthy? He couldn't stay healthy as a wide receiver. And as we know, running back's a much more physical position. But all those questions were answered in the positive column when it came to Adam Randall. So he brought production to the position, and he brought stability to the position. And shout out to him for that. And I appreciate his contributions to this team and this program. Never forget a guy like Adam Randall. One year ago, he was a wide receiver, and now he is a very productive running back in college football. So that's not easy.
I can't wait to see what team gives him a shot in the NFL, because I absolutely think
I hope he gets a real shot. not just a camp guy that they're going to bring in and they know they're going to cut from day one. I hope he gets a real shot to compete. So we'll see.
We shall see. Vanderbilt just took the lead on Tennessee.
I see that. 14-7.
All right. Let's see what you guys are discussing in the live chat.
Yeah, guys. So happy Thanksgiving. Go Tigers. 28 good guys, 14 bad guys. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you all for being here. Hit that like button while you're in here. Consider subscribing to the channel. Me and Jordan do post-game live videos immediately following every single Clemson game. We also do a Tuesday night show talking about college football every Tuesday, 8 p.m. year-round, not just during the college football season, but year-round. So after the national championship is crowned, we will still be here talking about Clemson football, still be here talking about college football. So consider making us one of your trusted stops for college football. We would appreciate that. And let's see what you guys are talking about. We will start covering playoff stuff and conference championship stuff here now that Clemson season is essentially over outside of whatever bowl game we end up going to. So stay tuned for all that coverage.
Yep, absolutely. Clemson will certainly find out where they're headed after championship weekend next week. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's see what you guys are yapping about in the live chat. People talking about Tate Reynolds. John says, "Yeah, Tate will be green. He's hardly played his senior year due to injury." Yeah, I don't have much hope of him coming into that quarterback room and competing for a starting job right away. Physically, he's got a lot of traits you like, but he's already hasn't been playing at the quarterback, the position of quarterback for very long, and now he's lost in a whole year basically.
Basically lost his entire senior year. I would be shocked if he is even, close to being any sort of ready for that position. And if that's your guy heading into 2026, you got some serious problems at the quarterback position. Not that he's not going to be. He could end up being a great quarterback, but he is not going to be ready year one rolling into here. Plus, he's planning on playing baseball.
Yeah.
Which is going to take time away from football. So, no, that's not going to be your option next year. That's going to be a guy that, as Dabo likes to say, you got to go in the crock pot for a little while and get better.
Blood Moon says, "I'm curious about the strength and conditioning coach." Yeah, Dennis Love, guy that's been at Clemson in previous stints, but has also spent time in the NFL. A guy that was being considered. Well, he was going to take the strength and conditioning job with the I want to say, was it the Broncos?
The Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings. That's what it was. So he's a guy with that's respected within the industry. I think it has a chance to work out. I know people kind of roll their eyes because it's technically an internal hire since he's already been on. He was already on the staff, but they really wanted to keep him, we'll see if it works out. But I think there could potentially be some positives from it. So I'm not ready to.
This plan was kind of worked out last spring.
Yep.
Because Joey Batson, let those inside the program be known that he was going to step away, and essentially the Minnesota Vikings had offered the head strength and conditioning coach, or had offered him the job, and he was going to take it. But Dabo and Grand Neff get involved, and they kind of lay out this plan of just stay on where you're at for another year, and when Joey Batson obviously moves on officially, you will become the head strength and conditioning coach, and that's the plan that was executed.
Yep.
I get it. I mean, I get the fans out there that are like, why didn't you go get somebody else or, go get whoever from this high-level college team or this high-level NFL team or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, if all reports are true, he was offered a strength and conditioning head coach position with an NFL franchise in the Minnesota Vikings just this time last year. So I don't think he's an unqualified candidate in any means if he's being offered jobs like that.
Yep. Let's see. Question about the channel: are y'all going to cover baseball and basketball? I mean, yeah, we'll certainly talk about it throughout the off season as it's happening. So I mean, we can.
I mean, if you guys want to see more of that kind of stuff,
yeah,
us cover different sports, baseball, basketball, let us know.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments of our various videos. It don't even have to be a video about that. Just put it in the comments like, hey, I really want to see, some baseball coverage or basketball coverage or softball, like whatever. Let us know and we'll work it into the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we tend to spend time, talking about it at least, a little bit or in passing. But if y'all want to see more extended content or with other sports, absolutely. I mean, let us know. Why not get an NFL guy in regards to OC? That can have varying results. Listen, the dimension, calling offense in the NFL versus college is very different.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same ball, but they're very different sports in how they're called due to the dimensions of the field. Honestly, mostly due to the dimensions of the field, but and also the rules that they're different. So sometimes when an NFL guy comes to college, sometimes and vice versa, really, there's an adjustment that has to be made in terms of what you call, and how you build your offense, because the college field is different. The hashes are wider. You are much more in college. The illegal man downfield is much more lax. You get 3 yards instead of just 1 yard. That the linemen are allowed to block downfield, which changes a ton when it comes to RPOs and things of that nature. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to change about your offense and how you call it, just because especially with the hashes being wider, the boundary in the field, there's more space in the field in college, so you have more room to throw to, you have more room to work with, versus the NFL. There's much less of a difference. So I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you bring in an NFL offensive coordinator. I mean, I would like to have one. If you do go get one, I would like to have one that's called plays in college before. I mean, if that was something that if Clemson does make a change and they do go that route, I mean, I don't want somebody that's trying to run an NFL system in college. I don't need that, because I think that's going to be counterintuitive to what we want from the Clemson offense to evolve. It's not that, I don't think that's going to make it better. And you haven't recruited to a NFL style offense, so that just I don't know if that. Unless it's a guy, like I said, unless it's a guy that has called plays in college before, like if Todd Monken for some reason wanted to come to Clemson, I wouldn't be upset about that. But I don't need a guy that's been a long time NFL flop or a guy that's bounced around in the NFL and now just wants to try his hand at college. This is not the school to do that. CJ says, could Dabo go after a quarterback from a smaller school, maybe that WCU guy? It's kind of funny. My brother goes to Western. He's referring to Teron Dickens. He was the SoCon Player of the Year. I think he threw for almost 40 touchdowns this year. Really good player. Mm-hmm. But he's like 5'10" and like 180 pounds. I don't think that's the direction that you want to go. I mean, because Cade, I mean, the issues we've had with Cade have largely not been because of his size or his mobility. I think you want a quarterback you probably still want a quarterback that's got some bulk to that's got some size to him, some height to him at the very least. Cade had to put on weight when he got here, but he was 6'2", so you didn't have to worry about him, worry about whether or not he could see over the offensive line half the time. I mean, it's just I don't think that's the solution. I mean, if you're in with Teron Dickens, I mean, I think you might as well just shoot. If that's the route you're going to go, just put Denson out there, because I mean, he gives you a lot more mobility and he's bigger, actually, at least taller. So yeah, I don't know. Shoot, but I like Teron Dickens. I just don't see how he would fit here. Unless you get unless you change your offense to suit it, and you go get somebody that might suit his skill sets. Wow, what a play by Tennessee. Interception. All right, James Thompson, where was this version of TJ Parker all year? Yeah, I mean, I think he's really stepped it up the last couple of games. He's been more impactful. It hadn't shown up in the sack numbers until today, but I think he was playing better the last few games. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly been a mixed bag for him this year. We'll see, as far as what his future plans are in terms of the NFL, we'll find out. I know it's at least been discussed, the potential of him coming back for his senior year. I don't know if that's ultimately what he decides to do. I don't know if ultimately whether what his asking price will be and all of that. That's something also for because that's the reality of college football now.
It's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to be cheap, even though you didn't necessarily get your money's worth in terms of production this year for a lot of it. You're still going to have to pay him because all these kids have agents and all of that. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. It depends on what he feels like his. Well, firstly, what is his draft grade? Because that'll tell us everything. Tell us a lot. And then secondly, what is his asking price? How much do you really feel like you need to have him back, or are you comfortable going and shooting for a portal guy? I mean, you were very successful with Will Helt. If you can get him back for another season, that'd be great.
No offense to TJ Parker, I'm certainly not going to be sad if he comes back and plays another year for the Tigers. Obviously, I hope he would have a much better season next year if he did decide to come back than he did this season. But the guy's still uber talented. Did he have the season that we all thought he would? No. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to have him back. But the guy you really need to get back is Will Helt.
Yeah.
That should be your number one focus along the defensive end position as far as getting back and retaining.
I would say him and Stephylon Green, I think, would be my two. Those would be my priorities on. That gives you a solid foundation.
Right.
I think you get. I don't see any reason Jaheim Lawson would consider the portal. He's
a legacy guy at Clemson. His brother played here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think outside of somebody just coming and paying him some astronomical number that you're not willing to, ballpark, Jaheim Lawson ain't going nowhere. He's a Clemson guy. He grew up down the road. Like he's been a Clemson guy his whole entire life.
Right.
So I don't think that's a guy you're in danger of losing at all. Bringing him back opposite Will Helt, that's a really good start for your 2026 in position, along with, probably a portal guy, and then assuming some of those guys behind them maybe develop a little bit, take a next step in the offseason.
Absolutely. Arthur hits us with a basketball question, women's basketball question. He says, "Hey guys, with a top 5 class in women's basketball next year, what are your expectations for basketball over the next few years?" I mean, the expectations are pretty high. I mean, I think the team they have this year, I think they're building. They played better against South Carolina than I've seen them play in a while. I mean, the final score was still kind of ugly by the end, but that was a game that was within the balance early in the fourth quarter, and it kind of got away from them. But so I think. I think Sean Poppy has done a phenomenal job. They've invested a ton, and they've done a good job with selling the program. I mean, that's one thing that in women's basketball more than anything you have to be able to do, because there's just not a lot of social media exposure. I think Sean Poppy has done a good job at that. And I think the talent profile on this just on the roster is much better now than it's been in a while, and so I think he's done a good job, and I think this class that's coming in next year will definitely be a big one. There'll definitely be some high expectations for that group. So, I certainly expect them to eventually be competing within the ACC and for tournament appearances like that in the next couple of years or so. So, very very proud of what they're doing, because Clemson women's basketball has been pretty much in the toilet for better part of my life. They were really good in the 90s, early 2000s. They were a consistent tournament team, but really since about the mid 2000s, they've really never been good. And obviously South Carolina has risen under Don Staley over the last 15 years. So being more competitive in that sport, and that's one thing I think what I've liked about Graham Neff is his commitment to being competitive in everything. And or at least attempting to be competitive in everything. Sometimes you can't. I mean, you can't it's impossible to be good at everything. But at least making sure that you're not just turning a blind eye to the other sports. And that basketball in general had been kind of an afterthought at Clemson for a long time. But now you're seeing both programs with more investment, more talent, better recruiting than they've had really ever. So just excited for both programs right now. And the men are off to a really good start. Had a really nice weekend last weekend. Two really tight games over West Virginia and Georgia. But you gave both of those teams their first loss. Those will probably be big come tournament time. So that's my long spiel on college basketball. Let's see. I know you starred a couple. John says, you think about live streaming any of the conference championships, or at least the ACC? Yeah, we might. I have to see what my schedule looks like, what both of our schedules look like. We'll certainly let y'all know if we do a members only stream or something like that.
Yeah, we'll try to stream something for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe some bowl games here or there. We'll see. We'll try to get some content out for you guys.
Yeah.
I was
hoping Clemson would get for a bowl game. I was hoping Clemson would get the Duke's Mayo Bowl, because then we could. Yeah. I would definitely try to go to that one.
Yeah. I would as well.
Let's see. I'm also going on vacation in January. Well, the first week of January, so that might be, we'll see kind of what it depends on what Clemson's bowl game, where Clemson's bowl game is and when. Also need an OC that we know is fully responsible for the offense. I mean, like, I'm still like, I don't think like Garrett Riley is the problems with Garrett Riley are simply just that he doesn't have like full responsibility of the offense. I mean, this is what he's created. I mean, and and to Garrett Riley's credit, I mean, I think he's actually called some pretty good games the last few games. Even today, this team, I mean, you could have easily scored 35, 40, 42 points if your quarterback executes better. There's just some better execution across the board. I didn't hate I didn't really hate the play calling today. There were a couple of head scratchers, but you'll see that with any OC. But there wasn't a point where I was like, man, I don't know what they're doing at all. Like it felt like there was a plan there. I mean, there was much more of a commitment to running the football, which I was very happy about. That one of the few times in Garrett Riley's tenure where they actually committed to running the football, and tried to get and keep the defense honest in terms of the run game. So that was pleasing.
I just think there will always and forever be, as long as Dabo Swinney's the head coach, a certain sect of Clemson fans or college football fans or whoever that will never believe that Dabo's not calling the plays or meddling in the game. Just like I don't know. I think that's a theory that has gotten out there, and it's never going away.
Yeah. CJ says,
honestly, every head coach has their influence in whatever side of the ball they want.
Yeah.
So it's not a novelty that Dabo would be a part of any of that.
Yeah. Riley's play calling definitely improved the last couple of games, and I fully believe Dabo was more involved. And I think there's a very, very good chance that you're right. I mean, when you take the context clues from Dabo's post games after losses, where he was like frustrated with not running the football, frustrated with personnel usage, whatever, you could tell. If Dabo wasn't I don't necessarily think Dabo was calling plays today, but he certainly in the game plan was like, you better run this football. This is not a negotiable. This is not negotiable. If you don't run the football and you don't commit to running the football, I'm killing it. We wouldn't say that, but
yeah,
but definitely very stern and intense. I mean, listen to Dabo behind the scenes when he's talking to especially when he's chewing out coaches or players. He's a very different person than in the media. I mean, you get to see glimpses of it during the game when he's ripping into somebody. I wouldn't want to get yelled at by him.
Nah, me either. I would not. But I mean, I think Garrett Riley's version of the air raid has not been a success at Clemson. It's not. It doesn't mesh with what Clemson needs to be trying to do. I think that's probably very clear now that we are 3 years in. I just don't think it's working.
Of course, Riley deserves. Excuse me, I don't know how to English anymore. Of course, Riley deserves some blame, but players got to execute too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the execution at times today was not good, and great play calls that weren't executed. I mean, hell, the biggest example being the two missed throws by Cade, the one overthrow and then the underthrow that led to the interception in the end zone. I mean, that was a massive play in that game. You could have been on the board early. Maybe you're not sweating this game out in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, like those things, those are plays you got to make. Tristan Lee, being in the backfield 2 times for illegal formations on 2 first downs, 2 big throws by Cade. I was really mad about the second one because that was that throw to Antonio Williams on 3rd down. That would have been such a cathartic moment for those two against that team.
Yeah.
But Antonio still had a pretty solid game regardless. But I wanted that for him, and the Adam Randall touchdown late that was called back. Like those things, you just kind of wish you could have had those back. But yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. No, I'm still thinking of the same play. I was trying to think was there another touchdown that was overthrown, but no, just the one to Antonio Williams, where there's nobody within 15 feet of him. If you just loft that up and give him some time to run under it, like
Yeah, I mean, you can't throw that ball out of bounds. That's the one thing you can't do.
yeah,
You got to give that guy a chance, and you didn't. So
yeah. Blood Moon Pounce, thank you for the super chat of $5. He says, "Who would y'all like to see at offensive coordinator? I like the Missouri OC, but I don't know who we would get." I think it very much depends on. I mean, who do you feel? I mean, who do you feel is the quarterback next season? If you roll with Chris Vizina, I think that changes who you go and get. If you decide to go get somebody from the portal that you feel like can start, that will definitely play a factor. It's really up to. It really just depends on who the quarterback is.
yeah, it's fit, and I don't really have a list right now that I could rattle off for everybody. Maybe that's something we do in a later episode
Yeah,
as the
absolutely.
off season gets going. We kind of put a list together of guys we would want Clemson to, at least go have a conversation with about possibly becoming the offensive coordinator at Clemson. But I do have a profile for the guy that I would like to see come be the offensive coordinator at Clemson, and really it starts with, kind of what does Clemson want to do, and what I personally believe what Clemson does the best is kind of run zone schemes and things off of that. Yes, we like to run spread. Yes, quarterback runs a part of the job, but one thing, they got to mesh with your offensive line coach and Coach Luke, because I believe we got one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. I know we've had our issues along the offensive line this year. I don't think that has anything to do with the coach that we have at offensive line. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there'll people be out there that disagree with me, but I don't think Garrett Riley's kind of scheme and what he likes to do kind of meshes with the way that maybe Matt Luke teaches and the personnel that we have, what they do well on the roster. Garrett Riley likes to do a lot of counters, do a lot of pulling, and things like that. And I just don't think it's something that Clemson does well as they're currently constructed. So I think that's an important piece. I want to see somebody who is very experienced. I don't want to see. I want to see somebody proven, somebody with a lot of experience. And obviously they have to be a fit. That goes without saying. But I don't want a retread. I don't want anybody who's been here before. I know the names that you guys know exactly what names I'm talking about. I don't want to see Chad Morris here.
Dear God, no, not in 2025. No,
I
thank
don't
you.
want to see Jeff Scott here. I know Clemson fans love him. I don't want to see him here as the offensive coordinator. I'm sure there's a lot of other jobs he can do if he wants to come back to Clemson football, and I'm fine with that. But OC, in my opinion, is not one of them. So the retreads that you hear a lot from Clemson fans, I don't want any of that. I really don't want an inside hire. I want somebody with fresh eyes. I want somebody with fresh ideas. But to bring an offense to Clemson that fits the personnel that are there. So that's kind of what I would be looking for. And that to me, that comes with, first and foremost, a long track record of success being your own offensive coordinator. Because let's be honest, when Clemson hired Garrett Riley, I thought it was a home run hire. I think everybody thought it was a home run hire for Clemson.
Everybody did.
What a lot of people, including myself, kind of didn't pay attention to is, well, he's never really done this alone by himself without that older, more experienced coach above him kind of helping him along, right? Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I'm not saying he didn't do a lot of the work at TCU and that was his success, but Sonny Dykes was always right there, right? Like, that guy was always right there, inputting in the game plan and making recommendations and all that kind of stuff. So I think we kind of did not pay attention to that as much as we probably should have, which is why, I would like to see somebody come in that's experienced on their own and has a lot of success as an offensive coordinator at previous stops. And somebody that's not a short-term rental either. I don't want suddenly Clemson's offensive coordinator position to become a revolving door, every 1 to 2 seasons. I know guys move on and they got aspirations and things like that. So I'm not saying you got to have the same offensive coordinator for the next 10 years, but, at least have 3 to 4 years in between switching coordinators out. A graduating class, I think, is a good distance for your coordinators if they have head coaching aspirations. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I think I largely agree. I mean, I definitely want to see Clemson get back to, not get back to, but I want them to be a football team that is centered on both lines of scrimmage. And it feels like, I mean, you made the hire that said that you were serious about that, but then the way you call games, your offensive philosophy, it's not about moving people. I mean, like the way that Miami is, where they've got some big maulers up front. They get vertical push. They run a lot of duo, a lot of power, a lot of run plays where they're getting vertical displacement at the line of scrimmage and not just kind of creating holes by movement. I want to see more, creating double teams, and moving people, because I mean I feel like that's and especially with Matt Luke and his ties at Georgia, well, that's what they were. Like, they were very physical up front, and they wanted guys that could move people. They had some really, really big guys, and I think you've done a better job at getting recruiting size. Like a guy like Braden Jacobs, I mean, he would have been an All-American at Georgia, in those years. So I think you have more of those pieces in the room. You have some guys that are willing to do the dirty work, especially in the younger classes. So I mean, if you get an offensive coordinator that agrees and has that similar philosophy, I think that could mesh really well. So I don't know. We'll definitely come up with a list, and we'll do a more expansive, more expansive discussion on it, and who exactly is on who would be on our wish list, because obviously a change has not been made. So I don't want to put the cart before the horses or anything until that we actually have confirmation or in any sort of actual real news that Clemson is making a change at offensive coordinator. So because if you're running back with Garrett Riley, there's no point of talking about it. So
right, it won't matter.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll let y'all enjoy the rest of college football Saturday. Enjoy this win. Maybe I don't. If those of you with Gamecock family members, go ahead and text them. Maybe if you're not with them, kind of rub it in a little bit. Maybe you got a family group chat like I do.
That's right.
I'll send
let them know. Let them know.
Oh my goodness! This Vandy player just hurdled a dude. Oh my God!
Oh man! Wow!
Good Lord! Is that Cedric Alexander? Good Lord!
Yeah, it is.
Woo!
That's crazy.
He cleared him.
Channeling on his innermost Saquon Barkley there.
Dude, oh my goodness! And he didn't scrape his jimmies on the helmet. Like he completely cleared it.
Trying to go tie it up before halftime.
Death Valley Tiger says, need a quarterback that can run more, so the defense must respect the quarterback run and will open up the passing game more. I mean, I think if you go that route, I mean, absolutely you can go that route. And that certainly helps a ton. But I mean, I think Cade was mobile enough that defenses respected his legs. You could see in games they certainly, there were times where they game planned to make sure that he wouldn't escape the pocket and do things like that. So I mean, I definitely like he wasn't like the most mobile guy. Like maybe if you go like get like a true, I mean Chris Denson absolutely it fits the mold of a guy that can really run the football. But I mean, what you lose in terms of arm talent might be something to consider. That might limit you because I don't have any reason to believe that Chris Denson can throw the football effectively enough to utilize the receivers you have, coming in. I don't know. I still think you need a guy that has some proven arm talent. And I'm not saying like Chris Denson can't throw the football, but I definitely think he's probably the least gifted, at least between Cade, Vizina, and him. I think he's definitely the least gifted in terms of arm talent.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think based off Chris Denson's film, he doesn't have a special arm.
No, I don't think that's anything controversial.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh my goodness. These Oregon, the DBs are hitting. How do you hold on to that? Okay, Washington. LSU and Sooners in the 3-3 dogfight at half. Yeah, this is the typical Oklahoma game these days.
Yeah. Can't do anything on offense and have a really good defense. Arkansas going to go into halftime with Missouri up 17-14.
Mm-hmm. Els King says, I'm afraid Dabo is going to stay loyal to Vizina to next year's detriment. Yeah, I mean, it may be to next year's detriment, but maybe Vizina is. I'm not ruling out the possibility that Vizina becomes a starter caliber. It's not like we haven't seen anything from Vizina to think that he can be the starter. I mean, I thought he played well, especially when he settled in his start against SMU. I mean, that was a tough position to put him in, and he had a pretty nice day at the when it was all said and done, and they had a chance to get back in the game, and the defense completely sold him. So I don't know, man. I'm not one that's I think you should go get a portal quarterback, but I'm not convinced that you are that Vizina won't be the starter or can't be the starter. CJ says, do you think Clemson needs to hit the portal at running back?
Depends on who leaves.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who leaves. I probably would. I mean, you're asking. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have Adam Randall back. I definitely think Gideon Davidson has a really bright future. And if he is your starter, great. But I don't know. You know, you're asking Jay Haynes to step back into that role coming off of injury.
Easy E.
Yeah, David Ezim. Yeah, I mean, is he still going to be here? You don't know. I mean, it very much depends on the departures. Jarvis Green, is he still going to be here?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Keith Adams has another year, doesn't he? Keith Adams Jr.
I think so.
Let's say he does. I think he's like a redshirt junior or something like that. So if you have him back, that's nice. But I don't know. Again, it just depends on your numbers. If you find a back that you think fits, I think shoot. I mean, if you don't like your options, then I mean, don't get one just to get one. But like, if you see a guy that you think can play here, then go get him. I mean, it doesn't hurt to.
Barring any sort of injury, Gideon Davidson's going to be your RB1 next year.
Yeah,
it depends on who you can get to stay and how you feel about their development heading into the offseason.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to be a position where you're going to have to take a look. Yeah, most likely.
John says, after seeing Ricardo's development, hearing his dog answers to INTs, which one? LOL, I hope they can keep him. No doubt he's getting tampered offers. Yeah, I mean, Ricardo Jones was a very highly recruited kid. I mean, he probably, like, coming out of high school, I thought he was a top 100, probably like top 75 type player based off of his tape. He got hurt his last year, and he, kind of suffered in the rankings a tiny bit. But don't get it twisted. Like, he was coveted by basically anybody.
Yeah.
Coming out. So I don't know. I definitely think you try to keep him. I think the potential is there. He certainly struggled at times this year. Oh my goodness, that was almost a insane play by Washington right there. Yeah, I think he certainly has the ability, and certainly with better coaching, maybe I think he can really turn into something special. I don't think he's a very gifted, athlete, especially like speed wise, and you certainly have to account for that. But the guy, when he's playing downhill and playing loose, I mean, he's as good as it gets. So I think. And I mean, the guy has a knack for finding the football. I mean, he does have a good bit of interceptions this year, in his career, despite the limitations he has in coverage. So, and Oklahoma gets stuffed on third down. What an ugly football game! All right. Michael says Cade's running last year was awesome. This year looks like Mary Poppins running the football. Yeah, I mean, and I definitely think the injuries this year have built up on him. I definitely don't think he's running at max capacity in terms of speed. Because I mean, there were times last year where he was legit moving. I mean, I think about that run against NC State, that first touchdown last year, where like he was legitimately outrunning guys. Like,
Yeah,
he's a good athlete. He's healthy,
and I think he did, bulk up a little bit more in the off season, and maybe
he did get a little bigger. Yeah,
a little bit of that, that burst that he had a season ago, and then obviously the injuries do not help.
Yeah, he's not one of those athletic freaks where he puts on weight and still moves at the same speed.
No,
I mean,
no.
He's definitely going to feel
it. He's going to lose a step as he bulks up, and I think that was part of what happened this year, and then the injuries just kind of compounded that, and you get what you got.
Yep. All right. We'll end off on the channel member. John says, Cade has always run like a gazelle to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have that kind of gait, that kind of stride to him. It's a little awkward, but he's a legit decent athlete. So. I mean, I definitely don't think like his legs were, a non-plus for you. They certainly were. I mean, he has a good amount of rushing touchdowns in his career, and rushing yardage this year has been down from last year, but he's still very capable. So, all right, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, it always feels good, to get a win over the in-state rival, man. I mean, it's been a trying season. I mean, to end this year with a loss to them for a second straight year, that would have been that would have been pretty tough to stomach, especially in a year where they are legitimately not very good. So I mean, it was not happy for the players, happy for the program. And we'll certainly have more to talk about on Tuesday. But we'll definitely get into more of what things we saw, what things that potentially this team can build on moving forward, and we'll certainly have more in terms of what we'll do for championship weekend and beyond. But Clemson does finish the regular season 7-5, and winning their last 4 games. Last 3 games. Last 4 games. Last 4 games, to kind of salvage what was trending to potentially be a season where you miss a bowl game. So, way to rally. I mean, listen, this nothing would have gotten better by losing these games. So, very, very happy that this team was able to finish strong. Happy for Cade, for the other seniors that will be heading off to the sunset after this bowl game. So. getting a win over the Gamecocks, always awesome.
Always, man. It's never a sad day when you beat the South Carolina Gamecocks as a Clemson fan. So thank you guys so much for being with us on this holiday weekend. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. James Thompson, thank you guys. You say thank us for making a lousy season bearable. Thank you guys for showing up and keeping me and Jordan sane in some of these post-game lives that we've had to do and some of these things. So super appreciative to each and every one of you guys to take your time to come into our live and comment and interact with us and just show up and care about what we have to say about Clemson football and college football. So it's truly humbling every time you guys show up, even if you're here to just give us a hard time because we lost. I appreciate that as well. And then lastly, shout out to our channel members. We got 8 channel members right now. Thank you guys so much, man. You don't know what it means to have you guys commit to supporting the channel in that way.
Absolutely.
We will continue to crank out content for you guys, I assure you. We'll have stuff throughout the off season, so do not worry. Me and Jordan are not going anywhere. It has not been the season that we wanted for the Tigers, but the show must go on. We will do stuff for Conference Championship Week. We will do stuff for bowl season, and we will continue the content throughout the off season. So continue to stop by, make us one of your stops for Clemson football, college football, and go visit the Voice of College Football. .com, VOCFB.com. That's our website. That's the Voice of College Football's website. Ton of stuff over there. We also have merch. Go check that out. You guys have a great rest of your holiday weekend. Hope you guys travel back safely to wherever your homes are as everybody starts traveling back. And we will see you guys Tuesday night, 8 p.m. right here for the All In Show.
Yes, sir.
Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.